It's a story that has left fans stunned, heartbroken, and deeply reflective. Joy-Anna Duggar, once one of the most cheerful and hopeful faces in the Duggar family, has now shared emotional details that strike at the very core of her family's story. For years, viewers have followed Joy-Anna's journey, watching her grow from a little girl on 19 kids and counting into a strong woman, wife, and mother. But behind the smiles and public appearances, she's been carrying a weight few could have imagined. Recently, Joy-Anna has opened up about heartbreaking struggles involving her 3 younger siblings, revelations that not only expose her personal pain but also shed new light on the challenges faced within one of America's most famous reality TV families. Fans who thought they had seen it all are now realizing there's so much more beneath the surface. Why does this moment hit so hard? Because Joy-Anna has always been the one fans connected with on a deeper level. Her honesty, her vulnerability, and her quiet strength have made her one of the most relatable Duggar children. And now, as she bravely shares details of her family's heartbreaking reality, it's striking a chord with people everywhere. In today's video, we'll dive into what Joy-Anna revealed, the pain she carries for her siblings, and how her story resonates with those who have followed the Duggars for years. We'll look at the background, the emotional moments that fans can't stop talking about, and the ripple effect her honesty is having on both her family and her supporters. To truly understand the depth of what Joy-Anna Duggar is sharing today, we need to take a closer look at the family dynamic she was born into. The Duggar family, famous from TLC's hit reality series 19 Kids and Counting and later Counting On, has long been portrayed as a tight-knit, faith-driven household rooted in tradition and structure. With Jim, Bob, and Michelle Duggar at the helm, raising 19 children was never an easy task, yet the family often emphasized unity, faith, and resilience through life's challenges. Growing up in such a large household meant that Joy-Anna was never far from companionship. Surrounded by siblings of all ages, her role was not just that of a sister, but also often a caretaker, confidant, and role model. As the 9th child in the Duggar lineup, Joy-Anna found herself uniquely positioned. She was old enough to help guide the younger siblings, yet still young enough to feel the weight of their shared struggles and triumphs alongside them. This middle ground role gave her a powerful bond with those who looked up to her, particularly the younger children. Joy-Anna's story becomes even more layered when we consider her journey into adulthood. Transitioning from her teenage years into marriage and motherhood, she has worn many hats: daughter, sister, wife to Austin Forsyth, and now, mother to her own growing family. Through each stage of her life, she has carried with her the influence of her siblings, their laughter, their struggles, and even their heartbreaks. When Joy-Anna speaks about her younger siblings, 3 of them in particular, it isn't just a casual mention. These are siblings who have shaped her world in profound ways. Whether it was the late-night conversations they shared, the moments of grief they endured as a family, or the protective love she felt for them, these relationships have been central to her emotional well-being. For a woman who grew up under the watchful eye of millions of viewers, Joy-Anna has often kept her deepest emotions private. Yet the bond she shares with these siblings has always been clear to anyone paying attention. Fans have seen her smile brighten when she's surrounded by them, her protective instincts come alive when they're hurting, and her vulnerability show when she reflects on the struggles they've faced. At the core of Joy-Anna's narrative is her identity as both nurturer and survivor. She is someone who has had to balance her own personal journey, marriage, motherhood, and finding her own voice, while also navigating the roles her family dynamic placed upon her. And for Joy-Anna, her younger siblings have always been more than just relatives. They are extensions of her heart. The weight of her latest revelation lies not just in the details she shares, but in the decades-long context of these family ties. Every Duggar child has a unique story, but Joy-Anna's experience, woven through love, responsibility, and at times heartbreak, offers a glimpse into what it truly means to grow up in one of reality TV's most famous families. It's against this backdrop that we begin to understand why her words about these 3 younger siblings hold so much power. They are not just part of her past. They continue to shape her present and will likely influence her future as she raises her own children. As Joy-Anna Duggar has begun to share more of her personal story, some of the most heartbreaking details have surfaced, details that fans never truly saw on television or social media. Beneath the surface of carefully edited family moments lies a much deeper story of responsibility, protective instincts, and an emotional weight she carried for her three younger siblings. Joy-Anna has openly admitted that, from a very young age, she often felt more like a caretaker than just a sister. Being one of the middle children in such a large family meant that she was sandwiched between two worlds: the older siblings who were given heavy responsibilities and the younger ones who needed constant nurturing. For Joy-Anna, that dual role shaped her sense of identity. She frequently describes herself as the protector, someone who felt an unspoken obligation to shield her younger siblings from confusion, stress, and even some of the harsher realities that came with growing up in a very public, very strict household. This protector role, while admirable, also placed a heavy burden on Joy-Anna's heart. She wasn't just a playmate or an older sister, she was often a source of comfort during difficult times. When her family faced scandals that shook their public image, Joy-Anna was acutely aware of how those moments affected her younger siblings. She has described how she tried to soften the impact, distracting them, comforting them, or explaining things in a way that children could understand. That role left her feeling older than her years, carrying emotions that most teenagers would never have to confront. What makes her revelations so moving is the vulnerability she's shown in admitting the toll it all took on her. She has shared that there were nights she cried alone, not because of her own pain, but because she felt she couldn't fully protect her siblings from theirs. Her instinct to take responsibility for them, while born from love, also came with guilt. If something went wrong, if they were upset, or if they questioned why things were happening the way they were, Joy-Anna often blamed herself for not doing enough. That sense of accountability weighed heavily on her, even as she transitioned into adulthood and marriage. These behind-the-scenes burdens also shaped the way her relationships with her siblings evolved. Joy-Anna isn't just their sister. She is, in many ways, a second mother figure, a confidant, and an anchor. That dynamic has created a deep closeness, but it has also added complexity. Sometimes her siblings struggle to see her as simply Joy-Anna, the fun-loving sister, because she's been so deeply entrenched in a caretaker role. At the same time, Joy-Anna herself has admitted that stepping back and allowing them to make their own choices hasn't always been easy. Her heart wants to keep shielding them, even as they grow into independence. Perhaps the most heartbreaking element of her story is the quiet grief that comes with realizing she can't protect them from everything. Joy-Anna has shared that watching her siblings face their own challenges, whether that's personal doubts, struggles with identity, or navigating the spotlight, has been both inspiring and painful. She knows they must walk their own paths, but the instinct to step in and carry their burdens never fully leaves her. Through all of this, fans see not just Joy-Anna the reality star, but Joy-Anna the human being, someone who has carried extraordinary responsibility, wrestled with emotional weight, and yet continues to pour herself into loving and supporting her siblings with unwavering devotion. When Joy-Anna Duggar opened up about the heartbreaking details surrounding her three younger siblings and the struggles she's carried, the response from fans was immediate and deeply emotional. Across social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and discussion forums, people poured out messages of empathy and support. Many said they were moved to tears, not only because of Joy-Anna's vulnerability, but because her story shed new light on the hidden pain that often comes with being part of such a large and public family. Fans wrote about how refreshing it was to finally hear an authentic, unfiltered perspective from one of the Duggar children. For years, the family's image had been carefully curated, with the spotlight often placed on their faith, rules, and traditions. But Joy-Anna's willingness to peel back that glossy layer and reveal her struggles made her more relatable than ever. One commenter said, "She's not just a reality star, she's a real woman who has carried the weight of protecting her siblings. That takes so much courage." The ongoing conversation online has also highlighted a mix of empathy and sadness. Many fans admitted they had suspected that growing up in such a strict environment came with its own challenges, but hearing Joy-Anna's perspective confirmed those fears. Others express sorrow that someone so young had to shoulder a sense of responsibility for her siblings' well-being, when ideally, that role should have belonged to the parents. The sadness was palpable, but so was the admiration. Fans applauded her for not staying silent and for giving a voice to experiences many others in similar situations may have endured. Interestingly, Joy-Anna's honesty is slowly shifting how the public perceives the Duggar family. While some viewers had already distanced themselves due to past scandals and controversies surrounding the family, her candid words are humanizing the siblings in new ways. People are starting to separate the children from the mistakes of the parents, recognizing that they too were navigating an environment they didn't choose. Her openness could very well change the narrative, focusing less on blind criticism of the family as a whole and more on compassion for the children who grew up in those unique and often difficult circumstances. This wave of support demonstrates the power of vulnerability. By sharing her truth, Joy-Anna not only deepened her connection with fans but also inspired conversations about healing, resilience, and breaking cycles. It's proof that when public figures, especially those who grew up under intense scrutiny, decide to be transparent, it can spark dialogue that goes far beyond the world of reality television. As we come to the end of this emotional journey, we've walked through the heartbreaking truths Joy-Anna Duggar has shared about her younger siblings and the struggles her family has faced. Her openness has given us a rare and deeply personal glimpse into the pain, responsibility, and resilience that often remain hidden behind the cameras and public appearances. By speaking out, Joy-Anna not only validates her own feelings but also opens the door for others to recognize the importance of honesty, healing, and acknowledging the weight of family struggles. Her story reminds us that even those who grow up in the spotlight face battles that are just as real and raw as anyone else's. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time. Joy-Anna Duggar has always been known as one of the quieter, more grounded members of the Duggar family. But recently, she shared something that left fans stunned, heartbroken, and more connected to her than ever before. For the first time, Joy-Anna opened up about the struggles surrounding her 3 younger family members, and the raw honesty behind her words has struck a chord with viewers everywhere. Her story isn't just about growing up in the Duggar household. It's about the deep bonds of family, the hidden burdens she carried, and the emotional truths she's finally ready to share. In a world where the Duggar family often appeared picture-perfect, Joy-Anna's openness peels back the curtain, revealing a side of her life many never knew existed. Today, we're diving deep into what Joy-Anna revealed, why it's so emotional, and how it's reshaping the way fans see not only her but the Duggar family as a whole. From her childhood memories to her heartfelt responsibility as an older sister, this is one of the most vulnerable sides of Joy-Anna we've ever seen. Joy-Anna explained that growing up in such a large household meant she often played the role of a second mother to her younger siblings. While this gave her a deep and unshakable bond with them, it also carried a heavy emotional weight, something she admitted was both a blessing and a burden. She opened up about moments when her younger siblings would come to her for comfort, advice, or just someone who would listen without judgment. In many ways, she became their safe place, the person who understood the chaos of their world more than anyone else. But with that closeness came an overwhelming sense of responsibility, one that no young girl should have to carry. Joy-Anna described the heartbreak of watching her siblings struggle with the same pressures she once faced, the constant expectation to be perfect, the unrelenting spotlight of public attention, and the difficulty of finding their own identities within a family already defined by rules, image, and reputation. She admitted that her heart aches when she sees them wrestling with issues she knows all too well, from personal doubts to the weight of family expectations. What makes this revelation so powerful is that Joy-Anna isn't pointing fingers or placing blame. She isn't attacking her parents, nor is she criticizing her family's faith or traditions. Instead, she is sharing her truth, the raw honesty of a sister who loves deeply and worries constantly. Her words reflect the quiet pain of someone caught between wanting to protect her siblings and knowing she can't shield them from every challenge life will bring.